Well, hello, upper cervical specialists. I'm Dr. Bill Davis. Welcome back to the UCM podcast. Excited to talk with you again today. Got a great topic. This is something that I've noticed coming up more and more recently, and just something that I thought was, more universally applied within the profession, and realized that it needs to be taught because a lot of people aren't doing this, and it makes a huge difference in your practice. And so, just real quick, if you don't know us, if this is the first time listening to us or watching our videos, we are UCM Practice Growth Systems. We help upper cervical practices grow. And I'm Dr. Bill Davis. And who I am is I built a successful all cash upper cervical specific practice before breaking my neck mountain biking. And then I founded and began to grow UCM Practice Growth Systems. We started out as upper cervical marketing all the way back in 2013, helping doctors with their marketing. And over time, we realized that we were really helping doctors grow their practices. We began to shift in 2017 when we wrote the first book, Upper Cervical Practice Mastery. And after we had been doing a podcast now for many years, since 2016, I believe, and helping upper cervical specialists grow their practices. And so, in 2023, we actually changed the name of the company to UCM Practice Growth Systems to more specifically talk about what we're actually doing, which is helping upper cervical practices grow. Over the past 11 years now, we've helped over 250 upper cervical doctors grow their practices, double their practices, help many doctors become have $1 million practices, add associates, add additional locations, start their practices profitably, add CAs, new patient coordinators, office managers, improve efficiency and effectiveness, which is what we're going to talk about today. And of course, do this podcast and have written the Upper Cervical Practice Success Handbook, Upper Cervical Practice Mastery, Learn Success Secrets of the World's Top Upper Cervical Doctors. So that's what we're about. Every day, we try to help upper cervical practices grow. And that's why we do this podcast. So the thing to keep in mind, Doc, is you're the hero, right? We say this all the time. You're the hero. You're the one that's on, you're in your practice every day. You're taking care of patients. You're helping people who are sick and suffering find hope and healing. And that's why we love working with upper cervical specialists, is because, I did this work. I love this work. I love the work itself, the people that get help. And what I have found is a great blessing of my life is being able to build a team to support upper cervical specialists so that you can help more people in your community. And what we are is we are your guide, right? We're going to provide you with the guidance and the resources that you need to go in the next direction where you want to go as a upper cervical specialist. And we identified, these 7 different practice growth stages, which I'll talk more about in just a second. But what we're going to focus in on today is to help as many people as possible during your patient hours without diminishing the quality of your care, right? Because that's the whole thing. When we talk about block scheduling or cluster booking and those types of things, the things that we don't want to do is diminish the quality of your care in any way. I mean, what makes upper cervical care so effective is the quality of the care. This is why people come to you that have been everywhere else and have tried everything else, and they get help with conditions and issues that have been affecting their life for so many years. So you want to make sure that quality of care stays high, but you also want to help as many people as possible during your patient hours. I mean, you're there with that purpose, right? You want to help people in your community. And so with the hours that you have in the practice, you want to do it, you want to work through those hours as efficiently as possible so you can help as many people as possible. And so that's specifically what we're going to talk about today. And so it doesn't matter what stage of growth you are in, you can apply what we're going to talk about today with block scheduling, and it's going to really help you. It doesn't, if you're in practice growth stage 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, 5, 6, it doesn't matter. Any of these stages, if you're not doing block scheduling, if you implement this, it will dramatically improve the efficiency of your office and the quality of your care. And so I highly recommend block scheduling. And so what is it? What is block scheduling? Another way of saying it is cluster booking. And what it refers to is scheduling multiple patients into the same time slot, often a way that maximizes the upper cervical specialist's ability to see several patients within a short period. So for example, a doctor might book, your office might book 2 to 3 existing patients every 15 minutes per doc for 1 hour. And while one is receiving care, others are waiting or undergoing other aspects of care like pre-adjustment evaluations or post-adjustment rest. And really what this comes down to, Doc, is that a busy doctor is a better doctor, right? So you want to promote busyness in you as the doctor so that you are in a good rhythm and you can see patients consistently, and you don't just see a patient and then go sit down for 10 minutes and then see a patient and go sit down for 5 minutes. It's a consistently moving from one patient to the next so that you're focused and your body is engaged and your energy level is high, so you can be your best version of yourself when you're seeing patients. And so that's what block scheduling does. When you book it in this way, it will help you to stay in that flow state, in that really dialed in state. So scheduling these and what they are is existing patient power hours several times per day will keep the quality of your care high and the efficiency of the office at its peak. So let me talk more about what this looks like practically. This is an example block schedule for an AM shift, right? So you're open, let's say from 9 to 1, and you're going to see patients from 9 to 1 during that morning shift. And so what you would do is you would have your during that 4 hours, you'd have 2 power hours. These are existing patient hours. You only schedule existing patients during these 2 hours. And then you have 2 special appointment hours. And these are 2 hours where you only schedule new patients and report of findings, day 1s and day 2s, during those 2 hours, right? So this is how it would look. You open at 9 a.m. From 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., that's your first power hour of the day, power hour number 1. You're going to have your CAs. They're going to schedule patients, and it depends on your technique and the efficiency of your office and a lot of different things as far as how many patients you're going to schedule. But you're only going to schedule existing patients from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And it may be, it may be 6, it may be 12. It depends on your technique, and like I said, a lot of different factors. But the point is, you're going to schedule as many as you can. And you want to keep getting faster at this and continue to improve. We'll talk about some ways to do that as well. And then the next hour from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., that's a special appointment hour. That's when you schedule, again, depending on your technique and depending on your staff and a variety of different things, either, anywhere from 1 to 4 special appointments, right? So these are for day 1 to day end or day 2 appointments, right? So either new patients or report of findings who are come back for their second appointment and first adjustments. And then you go back into an existing patient power hour again for the next hour from 11 a.m. till noon. You'll do the same thing, schedule 6 to 12 existing patients during that hour per doctor, and then going into the next hour from 12 to 1, it's a special appointment hour again, 1 to 4 new patients scheduled for day 1 and day 2 appointments, right? So that's a really effective block schedule that you can use, that I used in my own practice. It worked extremely well. I was able to be very efficient and very focused during those hours, those power hours where I'm only seeing existing patients and moving through each one of those patients and connecting with them, checking them, adjusting them if necessary, and then moving them into the next, having them move to the resting area for me, and then moving on to my next patient and going one after another. And so that's those existing patient hours. And then when I was done with that hour, then I could turn my attention towards the special appointment hour, where I'm now going to be focused in on seeing a new patient or doing a report of findings or both in that hour time period. And then I go back into that existing patient hour and the special appointment hour after that. So in a typical 7-hour adjusting day, right, where, for instance, if you have 4 patient hours in the morning from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and then you have say a 2-hour lunch, and then a PM shift, afternoon shift, where you're open from say 3 to 6. That's a typical 7-hour adjusting day for upper cervical specialists. You're going to want to have 4 existing patient blocks and 3 special appointment hour blocks, right? So as I talked about in the morning, you'd have two of those power hours and 2 special appointment hours, and those 4 hours in the morning. In the afternoon, that 3-hour time block, you would typically have 2 power hours and 1 special appointment hour. What about progress exams, right? Progress exams are so important. It's got to, we recommend doing progress exams with patients on a consistent basis. Progress exams should be scheduled within the existing patient blocks, ideally near the end of the hour, and typically it will require a double appointment. So if you have a patient who needs a progress exam, then you're gonna have to schedule a little bit extra time for them. So instead of, let's say that you usually schedule 10 people in an hour. Well, that person who has a progress exam, you count them like they're 2 patients, right, for that existing patient hour. So you would actually schedule 9 patients instead of 10 if you would typically schedule 10, for instance, in an hour. You should also make sure that you charge the patient for the progress exam, right? This is a special appointments, extra work for the office, and it should be charged appropriately. Ways to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of power hours. So some ways to do this, some different things you can do. One is to make sure that you have a jump seat or a hot seat in your hallway outside of your adjusting rooms. This is a very simple one, and it can make a big difference. If you can just have patients, say for instance, a solo doctor practice that has 2 adjusting rooms. If you have a bench in the hallway where there can be an existing patient, a patient sitting there waiting in the hallway, then when you come out of one room, you come out of, say, room number 1, that the patient in room 1 comes out, the patient that's sitting in the hallway goes right into that room. You go into the next room, and then the next patient from the waiting room goes and sits on the jump seat, right? So it makes it much more efficient and effective during that waiting period before they get into a room. You also want to minimize your steps by placing your adjusting rooms next to each other, right? You don't want, one at the one end of the hallway and one on the other end of the hallway. You want them right next to each other. Have patients check themselves in if possible, right? Have a setup at the front so that you can minimize the check-in time, walk themselves back to the jump seat or adjusting room. Again, this is all existing patients. They're going to be, taught how to do this, and they're going to have an understanding of what they should do. And then you want to train your CAs to perform as much of the prep involved in the pre-adjustment evaluations, right? Depending on what you need to do. If you're doing scanning and that kind of thing, you have to make sure that that your CAs get them all ready to go with the scanning. If you're doing, say, anatometer or whatever, as much as you can possibly have your CAs trained to do the pre-adjustment evaluations, that's going to dramatically improve the efficiency of your office and the doctor time. Another thing is to make sure you don't walk patients back up to the front desk or over to the rest area. If you have if you do resting after the adjustment, just have them, walk themselves to wherever they need to go next, and then go to the next adjusting room and see the next patient, right? So those are some simple things that can really make a big difference when you add it up over, the number of patients that you see each day. So if you want to work on this, if this is something that, I'd love to improve the efficiency of my office. I know that I'm going too slow, or I don't, my office is just not working as efficiently as it could. this is a great reason to engage with some practice growth sessions with us. This will, where we can sit down and really talk with you about the practice, give you some specific insight into areas of where your practice isn't as efficient as it should be, and really give you some specific guidance on things that you can do to improve. Because I just touched on it today. There's so much more you can get into when it comes to improving the efficiency of your practice beyond just block scheduling, but block scheduling is obviously a good place to start. And just remember, Doc, you're the hero. We want you to see and touch as many people as you possibly can in your community. You're able to bring hope and healing to sick and suffering people, and that's a huge blessing to your community. And so, why not be able to help more people, right? Make it so that your practice runs more efficiently, so you can help more people. And that's what I'm talking about today. And that's why we want to guide you towards that in what we do in these practice growth sessions. So what do you do now? You want to, find out more about our practice growth sessions. Just go to the website, ucmgrow.com, click on Start Growing. Again, that's ucmgrow.com. And then just click on the button that says Start Growing. Schedule a time that will work for you. Let's talk about your practice, talk about your upper cervical practice, and how we can help you make it more efficient so you can help more people in your community. Thank you, Doc, for all you do. And as we always say, go team upper cervical.